Okay, great. It just said a 6-day schedule. It didn't know if we needed to amend the contract so they were covered, we were covered, so. Any further questions concerning Dr. Archie? Contract? Anything else to add, Melody?
No, other than 4.2, I reached out to Chris, our CSR at Bellevue office, and just wanted to know from her perspective, you know, how's this working out for her and the community. And I think you see her email in 4.2, and she said things are going well. Seem like people are participating, and they like the fact that they can get their results quickly. Yeah. So far so good.
Melody, why just 228? Well, why till just the end of February? Why is this not going on under section A there, under number 1? We're looking at, this expires in 2/28/21.
Yeah, because they got a grant to, from the funders in Blaine County to do this.
Okay.
So it's limited by number of, test kits they have, they can afford
That's
to do.
it's a limitation. Okay.
Yeah, it's,
Thank you.
yeah, if, that's all the money they are willing to spend at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's, we don't touch any of that, it's all their business.
Yeah, thank you, Grant, and that's the amount of time that was approved by the board, was for that. Any further questions or discussion on the Bellevue facility?
Madam Chairman, Ms. Anjani,
Yes, go right ahead.
I just wanted to state that so far I've been hearing very positive reports in the community for how it's working, and appreciation to the health district and the board for the facility in Bellevue. So I wanted to pass that along. I think it's going very well.
Thank you for that information. Okay, the next item on the agenda, we've covered the vaccine distribution plan. The $3,000 county board approved funds, they'll be used for counties. Has that been put in place, or are we still working the details on that out?
I think Logan can update us on that.
Yeah, Linda, Madam Chair, so we reached out to a few providers early on. I can't remember the month that this was approved. This whole year's been a little bit of a blur, but we have not, when we first reached out, there wasn't a lot of providers doing testing, first of all, and secondly, the ones that were, it was free regardless of who was doing it. So, and honestly, since that initial kind of reach out, we haven't done much to reach back out and say, hey, most places do have free testing, or a lot of places do for folks. But we were curious about using this money for, possibly using this money for administration fees for vaccine as well. We think that could go a long way. There are going to be people without insurance. We have not received, as of today, we haven't received any sub-grants that cover our cost for any of this vaccine planning, anything. So some of those administration fees, even if only $20 a piece, would help cover some of those costs. So if the board would like, we can reach back out to more providers and see if they want to set up a way to bill us for people that can't pay for tests. Again, I think most of them are offering or do have some free tests. We've given free tests to people, all the priority subgroups like the schools, and I think just recently we even reached out to all the county emergency managers and given them some tests for their folks. So I think there's a lot of free testing to be had out there, but there's probably some places we're missing, so we could certainly look at that as well.
Thank you. Under the action item, number D, I had intended to bring up that $3,000 for counties and see if we needed some additional carryover money for the admin fee. So hang on to that thought, and when we get down to that item, please chime in.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Okay, Susie, are you online?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Does anyone have any questions about my written report?
That is item 5O. Any questions? Anything that you need to add since you have pushed print on this report?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, if I might, I found
Yes.
it, this is Brent, I found it to be helpful just from the standpoint of the individual names that were outlined and what they're, that's a nice way to put a report out, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, the only thing I would like to point out is the very last paragraph, on the second page, where everybody in Community Health Division would like to thank the board for the day off on the day after Thanksgiving. They really appreciate the extra day off. So thank you all.
Well, thank all these employees that have been working nonstop.
Okay. Go ahead, Craig, with item number 6O.
I do not have anything to add, so if you have any questions, I can answer them.
Okay, any questions for Craig? How are we handling all the restaurant inspections with you being down 3 employees, and were we able to get those replacements made for those vacancies?
I'm sorry, Linda, you broke up. What was that?
The restaurant inspections, and I believe you have 3 vacancies in your department. Have those been filled?
We are in the process. We've been offering positions, and I believe 3 of them have accepted to date, I think. So they should be starting here hopefully in the next couple of months.
Great, thank you.
Yes,
Board,
this is,
you have-
this is
Go ahead,
Yvonne.
ma'am.
As of this morning, we do have the 3 of them hired with start dates.
Congratulations on that. How about the 4th? Because there's 4 vacants on the paragraph.
I have not heard back from the 4th one, so.
Good, that's good, that's nice to hear that. It's a good time of the year to get a job too.
No kidding.
Great. Are there any other questions from the board or comments? If not, we'll move on to item 7O, the county officer report. Brianna?
Here.
Just barely.
Okay, I'll speak very loud if you have any questions.
Madam Chairman, if I might, just a comment, Brianna, whatever you've done in recent week to 10 days, it's a lot nicer with the, it's a lot easier to understand with your reporting, especially on KMVT. I'm not sure what you're doing different, but the full face is there, and it's not this small little screen on a cell phone. So whatever adjustments you made on that have been very excellent. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, I appreciate that feedback.
Any questions or comments from the board? On behalf of the board, I'd like to thank you for what you've done. You've worked with a lot of people and a lot of contacts and requests from reporters and this type of thing. It's been positive, and everybody that's working with you, it takes everybody. I appreciate them assisting you.
Thank you, Linda. Everybody's been working really hard on education, so it really helps. They appreciate it.
Definitely.
Madam Chairman, the social media that you were concerned about, seeing a bit of losing steam is the term you use under social media. Is that's something, the way I read that, it sounded as though maybe this has happened in the past. It's kind of a reoccurring, or is it that people are just getting fatigued from the message? What do you think that is? People are not
That's a
sharing.
that's a really good question. So we started to see a decrease in, not so much in viewership on our page, which means that we're not losing followers, but what we're not seeing is people sharing that message as much. So we started to see that first at the end of summer when COVID fatigue really started to set in. Then there was almost a resurgence in interest in October and November, especially with the surge in cases that we were seeing. And now we're starting to see that drop again. And I apologize, I failed to put in specific numbers because I was trying to get that report out as quickly as possible to make it to you guys. But I can't actually have them in front of me because I was thinking about that myself. So our post engagement, meaning the people that are liking or sharing those posts, is down 55% in just the last month. Our page views are consistent, it's up 3%. So again, what we're seeing on social media is that our followers aren't changing. The same people are still following, seeing our guidance, but they're not sharing it anymore, which could mean that the climate right now, the social climate, makes people uncomfortable sharing. It could mean that everybody feels like they've heard this before, so they're seeing it, but they don't necessarily want to share it because they think everybody in their circle already knows it. Or it could be that a lot of people are taking a break. So essentially, they are seeing our posts, but they don't want to fill their own social media feed with it because they want to focus on the holidays. Any of those are very likely scenarios. There could be more out there. Social media trends are difficult to follow even in a month's time because things can change so quickly. So calling it a trend is a little bit preemptive, I think. But I wanted to keep you updated because I did put in a report in our last board meeting about our social media trends. So next month it could be different again. If it isn't, then I might have a little bit more data that indicates why people are or are not engaging with our posts.
If, I heard a report yesterday, or day before yesterday, where the average American citizen is now spending 10 hours a day online. That's gotta have an effect on this too, I would think.
10 hours?
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
incredible.
I mean, and then when you look at how we get our information anymore, I mean, and yet when Logan commented a few minutes ago that our infection rate is dropping, or at least stabilized and dropped a little bit from over 200 to just over 100, in the low 100s, I think you said, Logan. That's something that we should be grateful for, and we should encourage people that, hey, it's whatever we're doing is working, keep doing it. You know, I've seen some PSAs in the last couple of days where we're really addressed to the holiday season and making sure that just because it's a holiday season, we don't become relaxed in this. We've got to stay vigilant on this. And I think that's part of your message too, Brianna, because I think you reinforced that in the last couple of days as well. That's an important piece.
Yeah, and
how we
I
get our
love where
information
you're
is
going
scary.
with that. We've actually been talking with some of our hospital partners about these really positive trends in cases and how we can get it out to the public that good job, it looks like what you're doing is working, or at least we hope what you're doing is working. So I love that. I feel like your mind is right in the same place ours is, because that's exactly where we want to go.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board for our PI officer? Thank you, and keep doing what you're doing. I think a lot of the other media is copying what you've been doing, and so that might be affecting some of our numbers and sharing and stuff too. More people are picking up and doing their own report under their title, so keep on moving, we'll get it done. Thank you. Okay, number 8O in your packet. Wow, IT.
Any questions?
Bob, what is a 70-741?
It's a test, yes. It's a test for Microsoft.
Oh, okay. And so 71 is 41 and 42 are both tests, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And who's taking those tests? Is it everybody in the IT department, or how's
Yes.
that being?
Yes, it's all three of us are taking those.
Congratulations on keeping us up to date with all this. We appreciate it. Any other questions for Bob? Comments?
Madam Chair, I just wanted to comment, a good job that Bob has done, developing the training plan for his entire IT staff, so they can stay current and on the cutting edge of technology and provide the best service to the district staff, so I really appreciate that.
And with that, they've signed an agreement to remain with us for 5 years, right?
Well, we will get to that, to action item 4E.
Yeah. No, we don't want to poach, so anyway, okay, going ahead. The
Thank
next
you.
item, thank you, Bob. Is Eric on the business operations report, item 9O.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, anyone have questions or comments for Eric?
I'm curious, the freezer that is in the photograph here, did CSI approach us or did we approach them?
I can't give you the details on that. The PHP staff are the ones that facilitated the process for us to borrow it.
Thank you.
This is Josh. We reached out to them.
Thank you, just good partnership. I have one, back in the county commissioner's visits and stuff, you were having furniture replacement, parking lots, all this kind of stuff. Have we put the furniture replacement on hold till staff gets through this pandemic, or what are your plans for that?
No, we've moved forward with all of those capital expenditures. They've been scheduled the same as we would in any year. Some of those furniture replacements are to accommodate employees, and we've moved forward with all of those.
Okay, thank you. What has been the estimated cost so far?
Members in the budget.
Dollars expended to date, or the overall capital expenditure?
Expended to date.
So,
I don't have that figure. I would have to get it and get back to you with it.
Okay,
so
great,
in the
I
month,
appreciate
in the
that.
monthly report, in the,
Melody?
yeah, Jeremy can explain, it's
Yeah,
in the
the
monthly report.
only thing we paid for so far is the parking lot, so we can talk about it when we get to the financial report in 11, if you'd like.
Okay, that would be great if we can sort that out. Thank you. Okay, Melody?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so,
Report of 10-0.
so, just list some of the highlights of the month, what I can remember, but it's been a whirlwind. But I do wanted to point out that the CSI has been incredibly supportive of our COVID efforts. In addition to providing the ultra cold freezer, I wanted to highlight some of the things that they did for us. They provided facilities for us to house investigators and contact tracers. We were able to have a space with 12 workstations. So that really helped us to be able to hire and deal with the surge. That was we're really grateful. And on top of that, their nursing staff, their nursing students, were able to help with our contact tracing. And they joined us just in time as when we had that fall surge. And they were able to do 600 investigations. And their per hour, investigation per hour rate is on par with our own staff. So that was super helpful. And also going forward, the president of CSI had offered that their nursing students will help us with vaccination as well. So they've been great partners. And yeah, it's working out really well, and of course, when we had the board meeting with, the public outside, they send their security guard over and help us make sure that our safety plan is in place, and just really accommodating. We truly, it's a true partnership, I really appreciate that. And I have, a Zoom call with the president on Friday evening, Friday afternoons quite often. We just wanna touch base and see what they can do to help us, and their board is very supportive too. Their boards always say, hey, what can you do? What can you do for South Central Columbus?
Is that something that we should try to acknowledge?
Yes,
some kind of
yes,
special-
we're getting ready to send a letter to the
Okay.
board to
Great.
thank them for.
That's a wonderful thing to have.
Yeah.
Really.
Madam Chairman,
Yeah.
question. Melody, how many, college students were involved in this?
Do you know how many nursing students were involved?
I don't know an exact number, I don't wanna guess, I think it was one class of nursing students, so probably between 20 and 40 would be my guess, but, I can find out how many we had. So, what kinda led to it is, because of the pandemic and the hospitals kinda clamping down on who could come in, these nursing students didn't have, places to go to do their clinical hours. And so they kind of reached out, can they do some stuff with public health? And we're kind of the same way, like, hey, we don't have a lot of clinical stuff now, our focus is COVID, but if they wanna learn everything there is to know about COVID and help us with these investigations, and you guys are okay with that as being part of their clinical hours, then heck yeah, we'll take them and teach them and.
They're still on board, and it wasn't just a one.
Yeah, so but they're out of school now, so we hope that we'll get them back whenever they go back in January. So, but yeah, we're still working, plan on having them back. It would be great if we do.
They would be complimented on that.
Yes.
Yeah. This, Linda, what is the possibility of offering them paid positions where they're already trained during their Christmas vacation?
So Linda, this is Logan. We actually had a couple of them that reached out to us and thought about it, but because of over the vacation, certainly we could if they wanted it. Most of them, I think, were welcoming the break, but we actually had a couple that reached out just to get part-time work, but then it didn't work out for their schedules with the amount of hours that we kind of need somebody to work. We kind of have a minimum of 10 hours a week that we'd like people to commit to, and that was pretty difficult for them to commit to.
Thank you.
And quite frankly, we're in a position now where just over the Christmas break, where our numbers have dropped, and we did such a huge increase in hiring in October and November that we really don't need the staff right now.
Where did these hires come from? I noticed in the paper it mentioned, one hospital got over 200 nurses, and it seems like it was just overnight. Where are they coming from?
So a lot of the hospitals are getting travel staff, so contract staff that travel around the country.
I have a daughter that does that.
Yeah,
That's
so
mostly what it is then.
right. I don't know that public health has ever done that. I haven't worked here long enough to ever see that. I could ask Cheryl, see if she's ever remembers it, but our staff mostly come from these investigators mostly come from the community. We put out usually just social media, hey, we're looking for more investigators, send your resume to this email, and we get a flood of them, and we kind of sort through, look at people's experience and pick, what we think is the best 3 or 4 that we need to hire and go from there.
But they're used just for investigative work.
Yep.
But if worst came to worst, they could probably use them.
Certainly we could.
Under supervision, they could probably use them in a hands-on situation, couldn't they?
It depends on what they're doing. So Idaho, as far as I know, hasn't loosened up any of their rules for giving vaccines. I think you still have to have some sort of license. So an MA, LPN, RN, or above. But we could certainly use them if we needed ancillary staff. So we're going out, we need people to help with registration, things like that. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a question that was posed to me. They went on our website and looked at the hiring schedule. I know we are limited in space in the Twin Falls office. Why cannot we use the facilities in our satellite offices for people from those areas to do contact tracing? What is the prohibition of that?
Linda, this is Logan, there is no prohibit. We've actually have people working on our Bellevue office. A couple people that we actually hired, but then they never showed up. We're gonna work out of our Hayburn office. I don't know of anybody that we've hired that could work out of Jerome. Jerome's a very small office, so there's not a lot of room, but we've had even staff work out of our Gooding office. So there's been people working out of every office, except for Jerome, I think.
Okay. Could we remove that requirement from our website listing that it has to be worked out of the Twin Falls office?
Oh yeah, I didn't even know that was on there, honestly. We'll take that down.
You got enough to keep track of. I had an individual that questioned and
Yeah.
she says, well, I haven't found ways to, get to twins. So-
Yeah, I mean, the other offices are smaller, so we are more
Yes.
limited, but yes.
So
Yes,
Linda,
thank you.
this is Yvonne. That's the original posting that we did. That would be a matter of just updating it. But the way that it works is all of the applications are coming to me, and then I distribute them either to, Lee for the CSRs, which are the contact tracers, or Logan for the investigators. And then it goes from there, but if a person is from another city, we do our best to accommodate them, it just depends. But yeah, the only outside of Twin Falls that we have received have been Bellevue and Hayburn, and now we have one that was in Gooding.
Yeah, thank you. If that could be removed, that might help with the numbers just a little bit because they don't want to, drive to Twin.
Yeah, I'll get with Leanne, and we'll update that.
Okay, great, thank you. One other question, Melody, in your report, you mentioned, working with Susan Buxton and that you had submitted a plan. What was included in that plan?
So that would be 13 point,
Action item
yeah, 13.1. So that's the employee retention adjustment plan to address retention and compression issues.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just FYI, before any increase can be implemented, the plan has to be reviewed by DHR. Not only that, EFM
I'm
has
just kind of wondering
to.
why we didn't discuss it as a board before we submitted a plan. And that's why I was wondering if that item number was the plan that you submitted or if that was a rough draft.
Oh, okay.
Or what it was.
Yeah, and I wanted to get her feedback first before I, put it on this agenda, but it took her a while to get to it, but, but I included here so you see exactly what I submitted, what I was trying to.
Okay, so that is an actual copy of the draft that you submitted, just so we don't think of it as a draft or, proposal.
Yeah, it's a copy I submitted.
Okay,
Or
it has been
review.
submitted.
Yeah.
Okay, and you submitted that to her when?
I submitted to her, Friday, and then she gave me one feedback, and I revised it and submitted again to her yesterday, so she has the latest, and what you have is the latest.
Okay, I was just thinking maybe we could put a little temp on it behind the board to get the response to you. Are there any questions or comments from Melody, from any of the board?
Yeah, if I might, Madam Chairman, down at the bottom, on the third from the bottom, on this list, you talk about the Idaho Athletics Association and then the Cassia County Joint School District.
Yeah.
They both wanted waivers on too. What was the name of that?
They wanted to gather more than 10 people. So in the Athletic Association request that came in for that one specific period before November 22nd, because they had all those football games scheduled. So the, stage 2 is allowing some exception before November 22nd, but after that, there's no exception. So the Cassia County's request came in after that period. So we basically, first of all, we're not in any position to grant any waiver to the governor's order. That's governor's order. We, public health, have to follow that order. Secondly, we're not the enforcer of this order either. This is law enforcement. So when they made that request, I have to politely explain our position and, you know, tell them that we really can't do anything. We have to maintain fidelity to the governor's order.
Great. Now, last point is the Magic Valley Adaptive Recovery Collaborative Committee, what is that?
So that's a mouthful.
That's what it is.
So it's a collaborative of, Sue, I think Don's gonna be on that as well. Elected, official city managers, so like Travis and Mike Williams, CEO of, you know, local businesses, Idaho Dairy Association, Idaho Milk Association, so the businesses, Chobani representatives, hospitals, public health, just trying to think, there's, you know, and some business people. So work together, share information to figure out how we can help our community to recover from COVID.
Okay. Madam Chairman, I have a question for Melody.
Already in.
Melody, you mentioned that Don's going to be on it. Will commissioners from other counties be on this, or is this a
I don't know anything about it.
So this was a discussion, and it's not my decision.
No, I just wondered
honestly.
what your understanding.
Yeah, of course, you know, keep that under the wrap right now, because that formal announcement needs to go out from the chair, not from me. I'm just a member, like they're going to invite him. So please just keep it to yourself. They might be looking at other counties as well, but,
Well, they use the word Magic Valley.
right,
If
so
it doesn't
within
include
Magic
other
Valley.
counties, then they shouldn't use the word Magic Valley.
Yeah, right.
That was my
Right.
thinking.
Yes. I think they're looking at other county commissioners as well.
Well, that's fine, I
So,
just,
yeah.
it sounds like it's a kind of a closed meeting.
Would the board be comfortable with, Melody or the board making a request that all counties be represented?
Well, it's not our organization to do that with. I don't know who
It's
started.
encourage communication.
Madam Chairman, that isn't something we can request because it's not our organization.
Well, I think once your representative is on the committee, they can make that request.
Thank you, Brent, that's absolutely true, just so we have the communication, so we're not duplicating efforts. Good point, thank you. Any other questions or comments for Melody on her director's report?
Linda, this is Anjani.
Yes, Anjani.
Just a comment, I wanted to thank Melody. I've been organizing meetings with all of our city mayors, once a week. She has that on there for Blaine County elected officials, COVID-19 meeting, and it's been extremely valuable.
Jenny, you need to turn your camera on.
I'll show you in just a moment. I also is very excited about Melody's health. He just really wanted to echo that. But no, she's been really helpful working with the cities and, the county and Blaine County. I just wanted to thank her.
Yes, that's great, and I'm sure if any of the other counties wanted to request either Melody or somebody would be willing, you know, to work with them, be the great point of contact, because I know there's several that do calls and this type of thing with them, and it's the whole staff taking care. Melody used to be on our call, and she's delegated that now to Josh and Logan, so there's only so many hours in a day for individuals. All of our staff is doing a great job. Any other comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, let's go on to item 11.0.
All right, 11.0.
Oh, crap.
It's your typical fiscal report.